Have you ever stopped to think about the end of the world? It sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it? A distant story, maybe even in the far future of a future yet to come. But what if I told you that the end of humanity, in some way, could be closer than we imagine? You might be wondering, what do you mean? I don't see anything unusual happening. And you're right. It seems like everything is normal, that things are unfolding as they always have. But there are some genuinely frightening things happening in the world. And in a much shorter future than we'd like, they could impact us far more than we expect. The first thing we need to understand is that the risk of human extinction isn't only tied to something distant, like a giant asteroid coming from the other side of the universe. No, the risks are much closer, and in many cases they're caused by our own actions. It becomes even more shocking when you discover that some studies suggest the end of the world, at least for us, could happen as early as 2026. That's right, 2026. It's so close you could almost imagine it's just around the corner. But how could that be possible? Let's think about the threats we're currently facing. Have you heard about the wars happening around the world? What about climate change? It's no longer a problem of the future. It's already here, affecting us. Storms are growing stronger, oceans are getting warmer, and the climate is becoming increasingly unpredictable. All of this can lead to a series of natural disasters, droughts, floods, and even famines that are incredibly hard to manage. And when something like that happens, the consequences can be devastating for millions of people, putting our survival at risk. On top of that, have you considered the way we live? Every day, we're destroying the environment in countless ways, from wasting resources to increasing pollution, which directly impacts the climate and ecosystems. This isn't a simple issue. It's something that can create a domino effect. Natural resources are becoming scarcer, and we humans may reach a point where we can no longer survive in the conditions we've created. This is closer than it seems, and it's something we all need to pay attention to right now. So, what can we do? The good news is that while the threats are real, all hope isn't lost. If we start acting now, there's a chance to change the course of things. We're in control, but we need to act quickly. Have you thought about what you can do to help? If everyone does their part, maybe the future won't be as frightening as it seems. Are you curious about how all this could actually happen? Don't worry, I'll tell you everything. But for now, just imagine this. What if the end isn't something far off in the future, but right here, within reach? Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll stay up to date with all the new videos and won't miss any important information. Did you know the Earth has gone through several resets? It almost seems like the planet has its own cycles, where life needs to start over. We often hear about the extinction of the dinosaurs, but what many people don't know is that this wasn't the only catastrophic event to occur. Earth has experienced several mass extinctions that wiped out a massive portion of the life forms at the time. Looking back at the past can even help us understand a bit more about what might happen in the future. Let's go back in time, about 445 million years ago, during an event called the Ordovician-Silurian extinction. At that time, life was primarily marine. Oceans were full of creatures like mollusks and corals that dominated the planet. Suddenly, something happened that caused the planet's climate to change drastically. Imagine this: a massive drop in temperature, leading to the formation of giant glaciers that caused the seas to recede. As a result, water levels dropped, and many marine species couldn't survive. This event led to the extinction of 85% of the species living on Earth, a true cataclysm. But it didn't stop there. The Earth continued to go through transformative periods. About 250 million years ago, the most devastating event in its history occurred: the Permian-Triassic extinction. This was one of the greatest disasters the planet has ever seen. Nearly 95% of species disappeared, including many early vertebrates that were evolving. No one knows exactly what caused this disaster, but some theories suggest a massive volcanic eruption. The eruption released poisonous gases into the atmosphere. causing the Earth to heat up and making living conditions unbearable for most creatures. The planet became a chaotic place. You might now be asking, but what about the dinosaurs? Weren't they around then? Yes, they were. And during one of these events, they too faced extinction. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid collided with the Earth. The impact caused enormous devastation and led to the extinction of 80% of species, including non-avian dinosaurs. But the most curious thing is that after this event, life reorganized itself. Mammals, which had been small and inconspicuous, began to spread and dominate the planet. These events might seem distant, but what they show us is that Earth has the ability to regenerate, even after moments of great destruction. Nature always finds a way to renew itself. However, the question is, are we prepared to face these changes? Or more importantly, are we accelerating the onset of a new kind of cataclysm? Looking at past patterns raises the question, what does Earth have in store for the future? Are we ready for what's to come? And that's exactly what makes the future so fascinating and terrifying. As you've seen, Earth has undergone many changes, and what's happening now could just be the preparation for what lies ahead. What do you think? What will happen when the planet changes? Have you ever thought about what the future holds for our planet when it truly begins to change? I'm not talking about small changes like hotter summers or colder winters. I'm referring to drastic transformations that could make life on Earth completely different. The fact is, over the years, the Earth has been preparing for a major revolution, involving the movement of continents, an intensification of the sun's heat, and a surge in volcanic activity. These are the ingredients of a catastrophe that could alter everything we know. Let's start with the shifting continents. Have you noticed that the planet is constantly moving? The tectonic plates that form the Earth's crust are in perpetual motion, albeit slowly. What could this mean? Over millions of years, these plates might join or separate in ways that completely reshape Earth's geography. New oceans could emerge while others disappear, forcing life to adapt to new conditions. This movement could even create new landforms, such as higher mountains, which could impact weather patterns, leading to drier or wetter regions. For people living in these areas, the challenges will be immense. Then there's solar radiation. The sun, our main source of heat and light, is also aging. Billions of years from now, it will begin to emit more radiation, leading to a significant rise in temperatures. And not just by a little. Estimates suggest that in the distant future, Earth's average temperature could reach between 40 degrees Celsius and 70 degrees Celsius. Sounds surreal, right? But this is what the sun does as it nears the end of its life phase. With such extreme heat, conditions for human life and for many other species would become unsustainable. Not to mention the devastating effects on food crops and the availability of fresh water. Finally, there's volcanic activity, which will intensify as the continents move. Volcanic eruptions already have the power to alter Earth's climate by releasing enormous amounts of gases and particles into the air, blocking sunlight and cooling the planet. At the same time, they can release massive amounts of carbon dioxide, intensifying the greenhouse effect and further warming the planet. This creates a vicious cycle. Eruptions cause more heat, and heat triggers more eruptions. In a future of intensified volcanic activity, temperatures could spiral out of control. Now imagine the combination of these threats: escalating global warming due to climate change, increasing solar radiation that heats the planet further, and volcanic activity releasing deadly gases into the atmosphere. These phenomena won't just make Earth hotter, they'll also make it increasingly inhospitable for human life. What once seemed like a distant problem could suddenly become an urgent issue. Are we prepared to survive these changes? Can we adapt to a planet becoming ever more hostile? These transformations could happen faster than we think. When heat and natural disasters take over, what will become of us? We are heading toward a future of unbearable heat and a planet increasingly difficult to live on. If you're not concerned about what lies ahead, it's time to start questioning. How much time do we have before the situation spirals completely out of control? Although humanity's extinction seems like a distant possibility, the signs that we're heading in the wrong direction are visible everywhere. The planet, which has supported life for billions of years, is being consumed at an alarming rate. Forests are being destroyed to make way for more cities and farmland. Oceans are filling with plastic waste, and fossil fuel combustion releases tons of pollutants into the atmosphere. Alarmingly, this damage doesn't just affect biodiversity, it directly impacts the Earth's balance. The consequences of this destruction are no longer just future concerns. They're being felt with increasing intensity today. Rising global temperatures, more frequent natural disasters, and the scarcity of essential resources, all these are reflections of the path we are on. The belief that major changes will only occur millions of years from now gives a false sense of security, but reality is much different. The planet cannot continue to be exploited this way for much longer. In less than a generation, the changes could become irreversible. What will happen when fresh water sources become scarce? Or when the climate becomes so unpredictable that farming becomes impossible in vast areas? The cost of food, energy, and water could skyrocket, leading to a scenario of scarcity that will make life difficult for billions. It will be chaos. Families worldwide will struggle to survive on a planet that no longer provides the ideal conditions for human life. The notion that extinction is a distant concern may be a grave mistake. What we lose every day is irreplaceable. Earth, with its limited resources, cannot sustain unchecked consumption for much longer. What has been discarded so far, whether through indifference or inaction, has deeper consequences than we realize. Nature is already showing signs that the point of no return may be closer than we think. What will the next generation inherit if this pace of destruction continues? Will the legacy be a planet in ruins, devoid of natural resources, with a hostile climate? If humanity does not come together to act responsibly, the consequences will be devastating. The fight for scarce resources will intensify, and when scarcity becomes a reality, survival will be a daily battle. The urgent question is, how much time do we have left? The clock is ticking, and if nothing is done, the price for inaction will be immeasurable. There is no more room to ignore the signs. The actions we take today will determine whether tomorrow brings hope or a nightmare. The future of the planet and humanity is in the hands of those who decide to change the course of events before it's too late. We've reached the end of this video, but the reflection on our future doesn't stop here. What we've seen today is just the beginning of a journey to understand what's at stake and what we can do to ensure our planet remains habitable for future generations. The threats to our existence are real, and the responsibility to change this path lies in our hands. If today's content raised concerns or sparked new questions, be sure to follow the upcoming videos. We will continue exploring more about the challenges we face and, most importantly, the possible solutions to ensure a more promising future. Don't miss the next video, where we'll dive even deeper into these topics and discuss ways to reverse the impact we've already caused to our planet. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this message with anyone you think needs to hear it. The future starts with the actions we take today. See you next time.